Welcome back to Joe Stunner Boxing. There is a women's WBC featherweight title fight between two unbeaten fighters on the undercard of the Bivol versus Baturviev Riyadh season bonanza. And that's between the champion, who is Skye Nicolson, and the challenger, Raven Chapman. Now, Skye, Australian, 29 years old, 11 wins, no draws, no defeats, only one stoppage. Raven, 9 wins with 2 stoppages, no draws, no defeats. She's 30, so she's a year older, a little bit taller, I think, a couple of inches taller maybe, about 5'7". And by far and away, Chapman is the more aggressive fighter. Now, that's not to say she's better, because Skye Nicolson does what she does extremely well. And what does she do? Does she box or does she fence? Because I get the feeling that even though in recent fights she's been letting the backhand go a bit more, she's still got that fencing style where she just pings the jab, moves a lot, likes to counter punch. She's a southpaw, just to make matters even more awkward for the opponent. Chapman is orthodox. How can I kindly put this? Skye Nicolson's fights are not the most entertaining to watch. She's lethal at what she does, but she is definitely not Little Miss Entertainment. And Chapman has been in some far more entertaining fights, but styles make fights, as they say, and I can't help but get past the fact that Chapman's style might be made for Skye over the 10-2s distance. I mean, if ever there was a fighter, a women's fighter, a female fighter who is suited, whose style is suited to 10 2-minute rounds, it is Skye Nicolson. Okay. If this was over 12-3s, I would give Chapman a much, much better chance of winning. And that's also true of a lot of Skye's previous opponents. She's extremely good at that jab move, or, southward, so she jabs, she moves, and she's been sitting down on the backhand punches a little bit more. And she's very difficult to hit. But over 10-2s, are you really going to get a chance to wear her down and stop her? We don't know how good her chin is, because she's not really been hit cleanly. Now, there is one little, shoot of hope for Raven Chapman and others. And that is that earlier on in her career, it was actually, I say earlier on, because she's only been a pro since 2022, Skye. But in 2023, she fought a Spanish girl called Tanya Alvarez, who was undefeated in 7. And Alvarez is a lunatic, okay? She is someone who doesn't appear to have ever seen a boxing ring before. At least when she fought Skye, she didn't. She simply stood upright, charged forward, completely neglecting anything even resembling defence, and went straight for Skye. Was getting clocked left, right, and centre, face, bruised up. But she made Skye fight at a pace that she does not like. And with movers, you've got to do that. Now, again, it's incredibly difficult to do, because if you're over 10-2s, that's 20 minutes of fighting, not 36 if it's 12-3s, nearly double the distance. But Skye, by about the 8th round, was really feeling the pace. And by the end of that fight, she even had some sort of bruises under her eyes, and she was looking knackered, to be honest with you. At the end of that 10th round, she was, she knew she'd been in a fight. And she was getting clocked in the later rounds. And this was from someone who really had no technique at all. Alvarez, just a young girl. I mean, it's only in her early 20s, and you look at her, you think, well, she doesn't look like she's particularly tough. She's quite an attractive girl, and, doesn't really, if you saw her in the street, you wouldn't think she was a boxer. Oh, no. This girl is tough. And she proved it against Nicolson, even though she lost. I think she's the only person who's taken about 3 rounds off Nicolson in any of her fights. Although Nicolson would probably dispute that herself. But she was in a tough fight. That's by far Skye Nicholson's toughest fight. Now, if someone like Chapman can adopt the same tactics, which is gung-ho, kamikaze, maybe that's going a bit too far. You have to have, if she can combine a little bit of technique with the constant high octane, crash bang wallop, I'm coming for you. For every second of every round, I'm going to be all over you. You're going to think you're bloody surrounded. I'm going to hit you so many times. I don't care whether I'm hitting arms, shoulders, elbows, your body, your head. I don't care if a few of them stray low. I don't care. I'm just going to be pouring it all over you. If Chapman has that attitude and that type of fervour, then she can give Skye a tough fight. Can she do that? Having said that, I do think this will not be a complete walk in the park for Skye. I think she will have to, she might lose a couple of rounds, but I think it's very difficult to do what I've just said. And therefore, I think that the more likely scenario is for Skye Nicolson to do her usual routine of pop, 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 move, fire a few meaty punches just to try and keep Raven honest. But even if Raven gets clocked, she's got to keep coming forward, keep forcing Nicolson to fight at a pace that she feels completely uncomfortable doing, and put some hurt on her. Put some, even if it's draining the energy and not actually physically hurting her with punches, that's what she's got to do. If she doesn't do that, she will lose this fight on, wide points decision, or, 98-92, maybe something like that. Maybe a whitewash on one of the cards. Now, this is Skye's, I'm not even sure what it is. Is it a second defence of the title? Because I think she won a vacant belt because she's wanted the Serrano fight for a long time, but Serrano insists it's got to be 12 threes. But then she's got the rematch with Katie Taylor. So you understand why Serrano's gone in a different direction. There's more money there, and she's at the twilight of her career. She wants to maximise her money. And Skye will give anyone, including Serrano, a tough time. I'm not saying Serrano wouldn't beat her. I'm saying that Skye would definitely have a chance of winning that fight. But she won, first of all, Skye won the interim belt in a fight in which I believe Sabrina Perez was the opponent, and her trainer was also her husband, died of a heart attack after the fight. It was terrible, terrible business. Mexican fighter Perez. And then Skye, I think, made one defence of the interim belt and then picked up the vacant full fat belt or something like this against Sarah Mahfoud. And then last time out she beat Diana Vargas and Chapman. Meanwhile, she's won one of those WBC international belts, defended it a few times. This is how she's worked her way into mandatory contendership. Quality of the opposition. I mean, we all know that it's not very deep. The talent pool isn't particularly deep in the women's game in any division. But, there are some reasonably tough fighters out there. But this is a good matchup, especially when you consider the styles. Even though I just said, a moment ago, that styles make fights, it is feasible if Chapman does what she's got to do and puts on an aggressive sprint, that she can give Skye Nicolson problems. Having said that, if I'm picking a winner, I've got to go with Skye. I can't see how Chapman can win more rounds than she can. Can she hurt Skye and stop her? It's possible. Then it's also possible the opposite might be true. So I am going for Skye Nicolson to retain her WBC featherweight belt with a unanimous decision around the 98-92 mark, 97-93, clear. She won't have it all her own way, but I just think her style will be too much for Raven, who will give it everything, win a few rounds, but it won't quite be enough. So Australia, they've got some good fighters out there at the moment. It's a little bit of a boom time for Australia. Even though some of their fighters have lost this year, they're still getting the title opportunities, and they've got some very, very good fighters. Jai Opataya and Paro is on the scene. Brilliant win over Subriel Mateus. And Skye Nicolson is definitely leading the female charge as well. So what do you think? Do you agree with me? Do you think that Skye wins this? Or do you think Raven's going to spring the surprise? She is quite a sizable underdog, but with the bookies. Let me know your opinions. Comments below. Please subscribe to the channel if you're new, and also hit the like button. I'd appreciate that. And yeah, I'll catch you later. We've got some good boxing this weekend. Very good boxing. Hopefully this will be one of the good ones. Anyway, I'll get you later. Bye for now.